Good evening. Welcome to our viewers. First, I apologize for the late start. We had some technical difficulties, and that apparently has been resolved now. So please accept our sincerest apology for this. As you know, the Guyana Dialogue is being sponsored or being produced by a group of Guyanese in the United States, Canada, the UK, the Caribbean, as well as in Guyana. Funding support for technical support is by Dave Narayan of Dave Vestian Imports. Our guests and panelists, including the moderator who appear in this program, they're all volunteering their services. Today, we are very privileged to have Ambassador Michael Brotherson as our guest. He's the Consul General of the Guyana New York Consulate. He has been here for several years, and he's doing some tremendous work at the embassy. He's replicating what the government of Ghana is doing in New York and even beyond New York to places like Pennsylvania and New Jersey, where he's taking government or governance to the people. We are I know he's very busy, so we're going to start to ask him a few questions, and then I'll put him on to the moderator, to the panelists, to probe into further areas concerning his mission, work program, etc. So with us today, the panelists are Professor Muniram Budu,
Hello.
Professor Narayan Prasad, and Professor Narayan Prasad. Yes. And we welcome them. You know, both of these professors are very busy, so we thank them for volunteer their service almost on a weekly basis to promote and defend Guyana and what Guyana is doing. Now, we welcome also our ambassador, the special guest. I believe this is second appearance on our program. So, Ambassador Brotherson, we welcome you. And I'm not seeing a picture of him right now. I don't even know if he's hearing me. And Ambassador Brotherson, are you there? Ambassador Brotherson. I'm not getting any feedback from him. Give me a second. Did you watch the president laying out his social and economic development plan for the next 5 years yesterday? Did you watch it, Professor Buru?
No, I didn't.
Professor Narayan, did you watch it?
I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, you didn't get a chance. So, well, he merely stated the development and social plans that they have in place. They'll build upon the foundation that was set in the last 5 years. And a great emphasis was paid on digitizing AI and technology. plus, but the heavy emphasis on agriculture diversification and expansion. They didn't focus too much on oil and gas because there was no need. They feel that by emphasizing agriculture and other industries away from oil and gas, they wouldn't fall into people accusing them of moving in the direction of the what you call the dot disease. So I think and they laid out elaborate plan to help the people with disability in particular, which I am very happy about. They're moving that from 22,000 per month to 40,000. Plus, they're giving a special disability grant of $50,000 each. We see we get back our ambassador here. Ambassador, I was just we missed you for a while, and
Yes.
okay.
Good
I know
evening.
you.
Good evening. Permit
Yeah,
me to say good evening, Doc, and I apologize for that technical glitch. I'm so
yeah,
happy
yeah,
to be here. I'm really
yeah.
glad that has been solved. As I said,
Okay,
I'm very, very happy to be on your show.
all
And you,
right.
good gentlemen, good evening to you all as well.
Okay. Um, yeah, with me, you were not here, but we have Professor Narayan Prasad, who's a
Yes.
professor of social psychology, and
Yeah.
Dr. Muniram Badu, who is a professor of engineering and architecture. Both of them with extensive experience and have abiding interest in Guyana's welfare and development. Now, I
Indeed.
know, Ambassador, I know you listened to the president speech on his economic and social development plan for the next 5 years. And in it, he stressed digitizing and electronic records, etc. So I'm going to start to narrow down and that stress many other things. But I know there's an area, one additional work you have been doing in embassy over the past couple of weeks. Can you please explain to our audience what this is about, the digitizing of records or electronic ID cards, etc. And then we can go into other areas of work that you're doing, how you're reaching out to the Guyanese diaspora, not only in New York, New Jersey, upstate, sometimes in Pennsylvania. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. And let me just say that indeed, yes, I listened to His Excellency's speech. But even prior to this speech, Dr. Singh and panelists, His Excellency has been speaking extensively about digitization of our economy as a whole and aspects of our everyday life, including the public services that we provide to our people. And naturally, that will extend when it's fully on stream to the missions and consulates abroad. Information storage and retrieval is particularly important, especially in the public service, where we have all kinds of documents and records and that are very, very crucial and important to the functioning of our society. We at the consulate here have I've been seeing a number of improvements, changes in the way we carry out our day-to-day functions. For example, the introduction of the biometrics passport, the new biometric passport, which we know is fully on stream now, began at our consulate in early May of this year. And that is really, really, and this is one aspect of what His Excellency outlined, but I can say with certainty, based on our current trajectory and experience at the consulate, that it has really brought about a greater efficiency. We've been able to meet the needs of our diasporans with alacrity. I can tell you this, Doc, you can apply for a passport at my consulate on Monday of 1 week, and that passport is printed because of this new biometric system, electronic in nature, and your passport is printed the next day, the Tuesday of the same week. I think the longest time you have to wait is to get it back from the capital, right? Because obviously we use human couriers a lot now. to ensure the safety of transmission and so on. Of course, using our diplomatic pouches and so on. But you can get your passport done in real time, actually. So my officers will send their list off this afternoon, today being Thursday, and I can assure you that tomorrow the passports that were sent electronically, the application today, are printed tomorrow. That's the efficiency that has been brought about by the implementation of this new biometric system. Initially, we had to wait a period of 4 months or so while Georgetown was streamlining, because all our activities are streamlined from the capital. While they were streamlining, but when it did come on board, we were able to do a backlog of just under 4,000 passports from May to now. That's backlog, because the persons who were waiting for the introduction of the new system, we managed to clear those at the end of October of this year. All we're dealing with now are current applications, which I said are being done in real time. I don't think there's a more stark example I can give in relation to the overall digitization and electronic and that kind of development of our public services.
All right, thank you, Ambassador. Just quickly before I put you on to Professor Budu and Professor Narayan, what's the cost of the passport now?
Well, right, that's a very good question, Dr. Singh. Previously, the cost at my consulate for one Guyana passport was United States dollars. With the introduction of the biometric passport, you have an option, and I speak for Guyana Consulate here in New York. You can get a 10-year passport for an additional $25 US. So if you want a 10-year passport, you pay $125 US. If you want a 5-year, you pay 100. You still pay $100 US. If a passport is lost or damaged, obviously there is an additional fee for that to be replaced, and that is $175 US if your passport has been lost and damaged, severely damaged, and you're applying for a new one. But once you're applying for a passport under normal circumstances, it's $125 for a 10-year and $100 for the 5-year.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. Professor Budu?
Yeah, and I was thinking to the passport issue. Could you tell us what's the process involved, and what's the difference between the passport and I think there's an electronic ID also? You need to get both.
Okay, that's a good question, Dr. Budu, Professor Budu. Previously, we had what we call the machine-readable passport, and I'm delving into the deep sea here, and I know this is the competence of the immigration department, but nonetheless, we deal with this on a daily basis. So I will answer your question. Previously, we had the machine-readable passport, and then, as you know, from this year here, we introduced the biometric passport. What's the difference? The biometric passport actually have your biometrics stored in them. So you come, you do your thumbprint, you do your fingerprints and all of that. The previous machine-readable passport did not have those features. So it stands to reason that these passports are more secured for what it's worth, right? So I think that's a basic difference. And traveling through international airports in today's digitized world, the more these documents are in sync with what is happening worldwide, and so on, I think it's easier for our nationals as we go about our business, our legitimate business throughout the length and breadth of our planet, of our globe. And so I think that is commendable. And we've been receiving numerous rave reviews about the new system. I've seen comments where persons have indicated that some missions' passport is delayed by no, that is no longer extant. No embassy or consulate that has the equipment to do the the biometric passports has any national, any diasporan waiting months to get his or her passport. That is a thing completely of the past.
But you also have to get an ID, electronic ID, or the passport serve as that?
No. In the case of the passport, if you've had a machine-readable passport To apply, all you need to do is to bring your old machine-readable passport. You fill your application form. You have your current ID, and that's it. To apply for the passport. If you're applying for the first time, that's a different thing. You have to have your birth certificate, of course, to prove you're a Guyanese, and you will require someone to identify Section 7 of the passport application. You will have to be endorsed by someone authorized to do so according to the application form, and that is an additional requirement. But once you, or even if you had a green passport, that from way back, you need to identify yourself properly, of course, and you need to. Sometimes we require an affidavit to verify your identity in some cases. But generally, once you've had the machine-readable passport, you now come to get a new passport. That's all you do. You fill your form, you bring your photographs, your 2 passport-size photos, and as I said, your ID, and we scan your documents. Well, these are done on the equipment that we have, these scanning, and that is sent electronically. So you don't have to come with any EID or anything. The passport is biometric. And as a matter of fact, the consulate does not, and I ought to draw this distinction, we do not issue ID cards of any sort, right? That's not a document in our purview. That's done by the by GCOM and the competent agencies in Guyana, but not the consulate. So we don't deal with ID cards at all.
Now, there are shortages of labor across all sectors in Guyana. New York has the largest Guyanese immigrant population. Is your consulate involved in alleviating the shortages in Guyana? If so, how, and what are the professionals you're targeting?
Well, I must say, let me answer that in 2 ways. First of all, we at the consulate are not involved in employing persons or providing employment for persons. Persons approach us for various reasons, including their interest in going back to serve in their country of birth. And we serve as a conduit. We put them in the right direction. We point them. We have them connected to the competent and relevant agencies and so on. But to address the question of the shortage of employment, look, for the last 48 hours or so, I've heard His Excellency the President address that issue frontally. I was at an event that he attended in New York last Saturday night, and he spoke to diasporans there and urged them to show an interest in our country back home because of what's happening now and the opportunities that are available, including employment. And only today, Dr. Singh mentioned earlier His Excellency's speech, his speech that he made last night. And then today, I also listened to the Vice President's press conference where he was asked questions about employment. And again, I think he unequivocally mentioned that, the government is pursuing actively measures to fill that gap, including, of course, employing people from our diaspora and perhaps further too. The government has a deliberate policy of and this is where the consulate comes in, of facilitating our nationals, of providing them with information, our diasporans, and of course, as I said, pointing them in the right direction when they show this kind of interest. That's our duty, all right? No interest in us is too small. Once we are approached, once information is sought, we have to provide it. We have to serve as the conduit, right? So, yes, but in terms of employing, no, we don't actually interview persons here for employment back home. What we do, as I said, we point them, we facilitate them, we share information, and we have the concerned agencies back home apprised accordingly.
Yeah, because I don't know, I didn't listen to either the Vice President or the President address, but what is it that that is attractive, say, for a medical doctor or a professional engineer to pack up from the U.S. and go back to Guyana?
Well, again, it comes down to choice, personal choice. Guyana is a country on the move right now.
Mhm.
There are a number of factors. You can look at association, one wanting to be associated with one's hometown. You can look at one wanting to give back. You can look at, as I said, the freshness of the opportunities there now in our country because of the development trajectory.
Mhm.
The quality of life in terms of, I mean, sometimes people talk about the climate in other countries and all of that. We're endowed and blessed with with nature at its best, sunlight and rain and so on. There are a number, all of these things add up, Professor, to what we might call the pull factors, right? You know that, look, again, I can refer to the event that I was at on Saturday, when His Excellency was there. And I can attest to the fact that many people approached me. I think the advisor on diaspora and investment was there, approached him prior to His Excellency's coming with a view to, look, I wanna have His Excellency's here. People are simply interested. The pull factors or the factors that may drive them, many of them would be personal, but I just outlined for you what are some of the common ones that we know based on our interaction with our diasporans.
Now, what is the council doing, especially in New York, because you have a large contingent of Guyanese there, to actually mobilize the Guyanese diaspora to support Guyana, to be aware of what's going on, and so on?
Oh, yes. I mean, look, that is perfunctory, that is daily. That's what we do. That's our mandate. Apart from that, we showcase our country. We advocate for our country formally. How we do that? We engage local and state and other officials as is necessary. Continuously, that is. Guyana's interest, speaking about Guyana's interest, making representation where we're required to. We celebrate our national days. We celebrate our festivals, our religious and cultural festivals here in our host country. And all of that adds up to us, as I said, showcasing Guyana and keeping Guyana relevant, keeping Guyana on the map, so to speak, to use a parlance. And that's what diplomats do. You represent your country not merely by going to cocktails and so on, but culturally, religiously, issues of tourism, all of these things we showcase, and we more or less ensure that the country, its trajectory, its development, its interests are all known and propagated. So that's how we do that. And if you permit me, so if I were to get specific, in February, we celebrate our independence here in our vast diaspora. How we do that? Last year, for example, we showcased our country on Times Square, on huge billboards in Times Square for 1 week. We were displayed in Times Square, and I don't have to tell you, Professor, you know this landscape more than I do. Right? So that tells you about exposure for our country. We, of course, have our National Day celebration, whether in the form of interreligious service. Then we have our receptions, diplomatic receptions. In May, we do Independence. Last year, what we did, we flew a giant flag, the golden arrowhead, all over New York. I'm sure you're aware of that. All across the Hudson. We lit up the bridge up the Hudson River with the colors of the national flag. All this is part of projecting your country, of projecting your country's image. We raised the flag at the famous Bowling Green, where the mayor of New York City participated in that event. Guyana is one of the few countries that religiously, every year of the past 3 or 4 years, has been raising its national flag at Bowling Green. And you know the history of Bowling Green, with Washington, and I don't have to tell you about that, but you know and its significance. So to raise the national flag there, I think it's recognition. It's akin with our large diaspora, and we get the support. The diasporans come out and feel proud of the nation to see this huge flag of Guyana being unfurled in the center of Manhattan.
All right. Ambassador, thank you. Professor Budu will come back to you. Let's go with Professor Narayan.
Sure.
Professor Narayan.
Yes. Ambassador, I was wondering of your familiarity with the ICD group. Is that run out of your office?
The ICD, it's a diaspora body, and in the diaspora we have many interest groups. We have hometown associations, we have alumni associations, and all of these. And of course, IDC is an organization, as I understand it, that is interested in have members who are interested in Guyana and have formed themselves into a body called the ICD that, as I said, concerns itself with what happens at home, whether in the social, economic, political realm, and advocate accordingly. And I think, given Guyana's diaspora policy of enhanced engagement with our diaspora, I think every group, including ICD, I think has a role and a relevant role to play in terms of helping to advocate for Guyana, one, because advocacy is a very important element of the diaspora, where you know your congressmen, you know your senators, and so yes, it is a group that is not operating out of the consulate per se. No group or organization operates outside of the consulate. The consulate is an entity, a government entity, but we relate to all diaspora organizations, ex-GDF Association, you name it, the alumni associations, QC, bishops, St. Rose's, President's College. I spoke there a few weeks ago. We relate to these groups on matters relating to Guyana and matters that are of interest to Guyana.
So I'm not concerned with these tangential groups. I'm concerned with the ICD, and are the architects of the ICD being paid by the government? The reason I am asking that question is because there seemed to be an intolerance for opposition views. I'm not saying that people should be there criticizing the government all the time, but when you have a one-dimensional view slanted only towards what the government is doing, and when I listen to people in and out of Guyana, it is not representative of what is taking place within this group.
Professor, I'll tell you what, you're domiciled here, I know, and America, it's a country in which people express themselves and so on. Various groups would have their opinions and so on. I think I took the pain to make the point that as it relates to the consulate, we relate with all groups that, to my mind, in my deliberate judgment and based on my mandate, that have Guyana at heart. The opinions expressed, of course, we would not have purview over that. But surely we cannot control what people say and do, but we can control how we react to that. And I know you asked about that specific group, but that group, and you call the others tangential, but all of them, under the same umbrella, representing a particular interest group or set of interests as those interests relate to Guyana. So the narrative that a particular group may have would obviously be reflective of that group's interest. In terms of what is wrong and what is right, surely the consulate is not the arbiter of that, but it is for those who are, who come into contact with that narrative, and those who, intelligent people who have the perspective, and they will, they will decipher. But
no, but I don't want this. That you're skirting the issue.
No.
I'm asking whether this group is being paid by the Guyana government. the
No,
architects of the group.
no, but hold on. Okay, okay, I can respond to that. No, it's not the consulate doesn't have a list of of diaspora organizations that are. The consulate doesn't pay any diaspora organization. That much I can say. Uh, who's paid by whom and so on? No, I don't know. I couldn't sit here and say that, for example, this alumni association is being paid by so. No, I don't, Professor. I don't have that information, and that's accurate what I'm telling you. As I said, our interaction is at the level of information, at the level of Guyana's interest. But in terms of who's paid and who's not paid, I wouldn't be able to comment on that.
Yeah, well, the one I have to make clear to you, because sometimes we, the panelists on this group, are all regularly being accused that we are being paid by the Guyana government. What we try to do on this chat is to be objective in our analyses and in our observations of Guyana. There is a tendency to think that because we do not live in Guyana, we do not understand the dynamics of the country. Now, indeed, we are not aware of the daily occurrences, but there are news, there are pictures, there are exemplifications of the daily occurrences in the country that is even more, what you might say, more not objective, but is less fearful of consequences when they are presented to us than when they are presented in the country. And you see that also reflected, and the ICD is at the forefront. And that's why I'm asking the question. Because if Guyana government is funding a group that is only going to be one-dimensional, and Guyana is a country made up of several different races and different kinds of political opinions. I'll give you an example. For example, I looked at the one yesterday or 2 days ago, and they said, Tara, please stop posting your poverty article on the chat. What is so wrong with it? Because not everybody reads every day and everything on the chat. So if Dr. Tara Singh posted or reposted an article that he has written, I don't see anything so abominative about him reposting that article.
I understand, and as I said, and I just want to gently reiterate that the consulate doesn't have a responsibility for the narrative of these diaspora groups. But I hear you, and what I can say with certainty is that the consulate exercises no bias whatsoever. Once you're a Guyanese, that's our business. You're our business. And we advocate on behalf of the government and people of Guyana. And that's our mandate, right? And our narrative has to be one that is accurate, that reflects the reality in Guyana, that reflects the government position, because we obviously serve the government and people of Guyana. And that's what we do. And you would find, I believe, Professor, that and I'm sure you will agree that different groups and would have their perspectives, and we as a matured nation, we've come to understand that. So we have to, everything is not always hunky dory. But yes, and there are mechanisms for feedback. There are mechanisms for people to refute what they may think is a narrative that is displaced. And I think that is what a democracy is about, where people have a view and we can say it. But one second, let me just finish 1 second. But the specifics about a particular group, Professor, once again, I wouldn't be able to, make an informed comment on what a group does or what it doesn't do.
All right.
Dr. Tara, if you allow me one question in relation to
okay, go ahead.
One of the problems that I always hear, Mr. Ambassador, is that Guyanese who would like to return home and serve and provide their services to the country is that one, that they expect too much or they are asking too much. A person who has come over here, done a medical degree or done a professional degree, you know, you're over here and you know the cost of that education to the individual. And an individual longing back to Guyana, what assurances are there that there is some just compensation for the services that that person would like to provide to the country? Because, you know, a medical degree is not very cheap, or degrees over here in general are not very cheap.
Like
So,
sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Professor.
no, I was just thinking that what would you say to people like that who, you know, like all I'm asking is that what incentives are there to lure these people back to really give their services to the country?
Yes. You would appreciate that Guyana is a developing country, and we would have our own limitations as there were. But yes, the government has a policy of deliberately encouraging expertise from our diaspora. I rather suspect, as I said, I'm not involved in those negotiations, but my general understanding is that persons of the ilk you're speaking of, like Guyana or any other where they're going, he or she would perhaps negotiate, would sell his or her particular CV and skill. And I don't think it would be a carte blanche thing where, look, we have a figure, $10, if a man comes at, or $20 if I don't think that's the way it works. That's the way it works. But among other things, like any other place, I believe, when you hire expertise, some amenities sometimes come with it, depending on the level of expertise and the need and the critical need. You know, there might be element of housing or in terms of accommodation. I don't know the details, but I'm sure that when people do engage with the principals in the capital on their particular interests, all of those matters are ironed out. But to sit there and say that there is an across-the-board mechanism that one can click and say, no, I don't think that it is. Salaries and our wages and salaries in Guyana are well known. I'm sure that if persons are immensely skilled and so on, just like in Guyana, persons who are highly skilled and so on, I'm sure would have access to that negotiating element where, you know, and to higher wages and salaries. It's the natural way of the world. But I wouldn't want to pronounce here on Dr. Singh's program that a person can expect this or that. As I mentioned in another context a while ago, that it's a personal choice, and persons will obviously, with that kind of skill, that level of skill, will be able to represent, you know, their interests and negotiate and so on. Where we have a shortage of skill, where we have a need for critical skills, and I'm sounding repetitious, but I need to make the point, then surely those persons, I'm sure, would have an ear, will be given an ear in terms of what their outlook, their perspective is. And some people, Doc, Professor, some people just want to go home just to help, just to give back. And so salary is not always the biggest thing for everybody, right? And I say this guardedly, but a few persons have spoken to me as recent as Saturday night. Look, I want to go, CJ, I want to go back home. You know, I'm not interested. I'm retired. I'm doing well, but I want to be a part. I have this particular skill, and I want to lend to my homeland. Some people, like your good self, have done well, and perhaps just want to. But yes, people have got to live. So don't get me wrong, wages and salaries are important, and compensation, remuneration would always be important. But I just want to make the point that some people do not, especially the diasporans who want to go back. Not all of them, not all, see it as see the salary element, the remuneration package as the driving force.
All right, Ambassador, thank you. Asif, do we need to take a break? Asif? Okay, we are back. Ambassador, the consulate has been doing a lot of outreach to various communities, providing specific services. Can you please briefly state what are some of those services?
Okay, Dr. Singh, we spoke a lot about passports. That's integral. Our nationals are always interested in having their Guyanese passports up to date. That's one of our most demanding tasks. So far for this year, last year we did 10,000, as I mentioned on a previous program. So far for this year, we've processed over 7,000 of the new machine readable passports. So passports, visas, of course. Last year, the last time I spoke with you, I think I mentioned we had over 30 odd countries, nationals from 30 odd countries had approached our mission to have visas to go to Guyana. Again, I believe it's a reflection of the attraction of our country, our nation at this point in time. We've seen, even though this year has not been completed as yet, we've seen similar or more numbers this time around. Persons from all kinds. I think I work with the list here. Well, I wouldn't delve into that, but countries from all around the world that require a visa to go to Guyana. So visas also keep us very occupied. We process numerous documents, birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates. By process, I mean our nationals here in the diaspora can come to us and apply through us to have those important documents. We facilitate them with alacrity. We do overseas registration for second generation Guyanese. And you know, under our laws, anyone born to a Guyanese parent, uh, um, who was born after 1966, of course, can register to become a Guyanese by descent once his or her parent is a Guyanese. I think prior to 1980 or so, it used to be the father. The father had to be Guyanese, but then now it's not only the father, but the mother. We do that. We register those such persons, their children. It stops at the second generation, as I said. So your grandchildren, your children can gain Guyanese citizenship through you, a Guyanese, but not your grandchildren, right? Um, and that registration process is often, sometimes, loosely referred to as they get a birth certificate. But you can only get a birth certificate when you were born. So what we do is give them a registration certificate, verified, of course, by the General Registrar's Office in Guyana. It's a very profound process. You don't just make somebody a citizen like that. It's a process. The parents, you have to bring the original birth certificates of the parents and all the relevant documents, which are then sent to Georgetown for verification. And then we get the green light and so on. And then we can issue that certificate here under the hand of the general registrar. And then they can use that registration certificate to then apply for a Guyanese passport. Right? So that's the process. So that certificate by descent. We do emergency certificates as well. Persons who, for whatever reason, need to get to Guyana urgently, bona fide Guyanese, of course, once we attain their two nationalities, Guyanese, we can issue them an emergency certificate to travel to their homeland. The peculiar thing about the emergency certificate is that you have to go directly to Guyana. So, in other words, we can't give an emergency certificate to go to Jamaica or to Brazil. We only give you one to leave New York or Toronto or wherever to go to Georgetown, right? We do notarizations daily, numerous powers of attorney, very important documents. I have a very competent team there that help our nationals a lot to use those documents, which is beyond what we should do, but we do it to help our nationals to ensure no one is being duped, no one is, they come to us. Some people expect their consulate to be helpful, and we do. Many times we've had instances where we call to the attention of our nationals, especially some of our elderly folks and say, are you sure this is what you want to do? And then, when they take a second look, they say, no, that's not what I meant. So we do that. And that's a service we provide, not in a prying way, but I think it's a responsible thing to do. We have to respect our people. And in any way we can help legally, we do that. So notarizations, all sorts of things. And I have formed people, life certificates, we notarize. As I said, powers of attorney, bank letters. You want to do business in Guyana, the bank wants details from here. That those documents have to come to us, not on a notary public outside, but the Guyana Consulate. The bank do not take documents notarized outside of us, and I guess it goes for the other jurisdiction in which we function. Right. So those are apart from that, as I said, we do advocacy, and I'm constantly meeting with officials, state and elected officials, in pursuit of Guyana's interests, whatever those are. I'm constantly meeting people who are interested in Guyana. As I said, long meetings, cultural groups, people interested in tourism. We have an advisor on diasporan investment who's also involved in that aspect of the work. But also as Consul General, as the ambassador, people naturally call me, gravitate and call me and come to see me. And, I have an open door policy. I think this is important, Dr. Singh, for diasporans to be aware of. The Consul General has no requirement of appointment to see me. I'm here to serve the people of Guyana. And you come, you talk with the receptionist. The receptionist calls my CS or her assistant. I'm here to see the Consul General. And if I'm not attending to other business at that point in time, if I'm not doing something very important that requires my full attention, I have them usher you in. That's what we do. We serve, right? So I think that's very important for people to know. I don't want anyone to, have any other experience. We are here to solve our people's problem within the purview that allows us to do so. There are things that we can do, and there are things that we cannot do. But those things that we can do, we try to do them with diligence and so on. So yes, in a nutshell, that is it. Oh, we also deal with our nationals who have, all kinds of trouble within their jurisdiction. As I said, we cannot get them out of the trouble, so to speak. But we have to be concerned. We have to report to Georgetown. We have to contact their relatives. We have to, because the authorities here contact us. So we get a report. We don't just sit on it. We have to ensure the capital is aware, so that if relatives need to be contacted and so on, visit the police stations, the court if it requires, all of these things. But we have our limitations under the other convention, so we do not interfere in domestic affairs. But what we do, surely, those matters that our nationals that they have, that we can legitimately play a role in, we hasten to do that. Right. So these are some of the things we do on a daily basis.
All right. Thank you, Ambassador. Professor Boodoo?
Yeah. Ambassador, apart from the diaspora needs that you're serving, I think your mission is also to promote trade and investment potential. What foreign direct investment or Guyanese diaspora investment has occurred in Guyana through your consulate?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because let me just clarify again. As I mentioned earlier, we serve as the conduit. Let's say someone is interested in Guyana and investing in Guyana. He comes here, he comes to see me, or the representatives of a company come to see me. I would listen to them, of course, yes, and I will, based on my mandate here, I would not pretend to strike a deal, as it were. What I do is to point those interested parties in the right direction, have them connected with the correct agencies and departments in Guyana, go invest, Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Tourism, whatever the matter is. And of course, as I said, we have an advisor on diaspora and investment who also, at his level, would deal with issues of investment. But at the consulate, we promote trade. How we do this? We facilitate trade teams. We serve as the go-between here. As I said, sharing information. A trade team coming from Guyana, yes. Trade teams from here interested in Guyana, yes. We convey information. We do networking. We set up contacts and so on. But the actual negotiation for those ultimate agreements and so on are done with the concerned agencies in the capital, right? That doesn't mean in any way that we don't have discussions. Yes, we do. But I couldn't tell you that we finalized this deal or that deal at the consulate. But we have a role to play as a conduit, as a facilitator, as a source of feedback, as a connector. So if someone has an interest, it is our duty to ensure that that interest is attended and not fallen by the wayside.
No, the reason I ask, because someone approached me, he lives in Florida, and he says he wants to set up a pilot training program in Guyana. What would you advise for that person? Because this may apply to others. Oh, he's gone. Tara, I think we are frozen. I think we are frozen.
He's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone, yeah.
Is it okay now?
No?
No, he disappeared.
He disappeared. I think he probably lost connection.
I don't know why.
All right.
I'm seeing myself, I'm seeing you, I'm seeing Professor Narayan.
Well, we only have 5 minutes more, so maybe probably in the program.
So you can't hear me?
No, I can't see.
We can hear you. The ambassador is missing.
Ambassador is missing.
I think he's lost connection. So
Yeah.
I'm hearing you.
Oh,
Okay.
No.
I'm here. Sorry about that. Yes, I'm here. Yes, Professor, please go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Professor.
I said to somebody from Florida approached me, and he wants to set up a pilot training program in Guyana.
Yes.
What would you advise to him?
Well,
We can't hear him.
He's frozen.
Yeah.
It's frozen again.
oh boy. Let's see. Hold on. But this is. Yes. Are you hearing me? Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, it depends on what the interest.
We lost him again.
Yeah, something is happening with his.
Yeah, I think.
I
think you should end the program, Tara.
Yeah, okay. We apologize to our viewers. We have some technical issues again that has surfaced, and we can't get Ambassador Brotherson again on the screen. We tried to, but we have failed. And since we are about the end of closing time, we have to end the program.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back?
Yes.
Okay.
Quickly, Professor. It depends on what the interest is. Training will come under. It depends, as I said, what particular area. But then
He didn't pilot. He wants to train pilots.
Oh, pilots.
Yes.
Well, Well, then we can direct him to the relevant government agency. We have a Ministry now of Aviation. I'm sure that the appropriate contact can be made. I don't know what level of training or what exactly that particular individual might be interested in, but what he can do for starters, he or she can do for starters, is to perhaps put down a concept of what he or she is thinking, and I can assure you that I will get to the relevant people and agencies in Georgetown. You cannot just say that you're interested. You have to have a concept.
Right.
You have to have, you have to flesh out something so that
Yeah.
it can be channeled accordingly. So that will be my response to that.
Yeah. Well, he has a business plan, so maybe he could I will attempt to contact you then.
Sure, no problem.
All right, thank you.
Mm.
Professor Narayan, your last.
Yes, Ambassador, thanks for your frankness and the delineation of your responsibilities. This question is just for informational purposes. Are the applications for birth certificates and passports, are they online?
Yes, they are online, but they're not filled online at our end at this point in time. But you can access them online, all of them. I believe that, well, eventually, as we mentioned at the beginning of the program, we will get there. But we also have a mechanism where persons can apply for their birth certificates directly with the General Registrar's office, and that is an online process where they can apply directly. When they come to us, we physically send down the application, or we use the electronic means to send the application down. But in terms of filling the application form and submitting it online, well, that's not possible with the passport anymore because of the biometric requirement. So you have to come physically to do the biometric. And I could throw in a caveat. You see, and again, people sometimes need to be told, you know what? With the introduction of this new biometric passport, we had the instance of persons coming to us from far and wide in some instances where the equipment is not available. And you know what? And it came to the attention of His Excellency the President, and he quickly mandated that, that we should have mechanisms that treat with those individual situations where persons are perhaps, differently abled and so on. While you have to come to do the biometrics, you can't avoid that. But that we at the consulate and the missions must develop ways and means to ensure that, those documents can be returned within the confines of the rules and without with them properly being issued out, as part of the overall electronic system. So I make that point to say that even at the highest levels, issues of the diaspora are being attended. And very often things that we do here are direct mandates. I'm in the hot seat, so to speak. Every time the president comes to this part of the world, I'm given a mandate. A different, well, you have to do this, has to be done. And you could imagine. Well, why so? Because this is the largest diaspora we have, right? And Professor, the demands. Look, we're talking about anywhere from 200 to 500,000 people at any given point in time. Depends on who's counting, right? Now, we've had a lot of physical. Again, thanks to my minister, thanks to His Excellency, they've been able. They have allowed us to grow. And I say this very, very literally. We've had an expansion of human capacity at the consulate from the time I came here, meaning we have more human resources, we have more physical space, we have more, trust me, we've had that improvement to meet the growing and the continuous demand for services here in this large diaspora. I'm in no way seeking to downplay the services that my colleagues worldwide in Guyana's missions and consulates provide. Critical services, just as any. But here in New York, we know the size of the diaspora. We know the demands of the diaspora. We know the proximity of the diaspora. So that, I believe, places that additional responsibility on us. And I think so far I have a team there that I must commend publicly. They have been really, I have some stalwarts who've been with the consulate for a while. I have younger folks, newer employees, and all who have. And I can tell you this: we do get our kudos. I have a bunch of letters on my desk which I read to the staff from time to time. where people wrote thanking, pointing out particular individuals in the office who has been kind, who was helpful, and so on and so forth. I tend to tell them, don't let's deal with the individual, let's deal with the collective, and so on. But from time to time, as a motivator, I read those letters and those emails to the staff during my staff meetings. So they must be motivated to know that their work is not going unnoted, right?
Yeah.
And we take the flack as well. People do say all kinds of things. And that's what I mentioned again earlier, that, in an open society, in a free society, people ridicule people. But at the end of the day, the stats will speak. The stats will speak, and, truth to power. And we have to ensure that as a government department, that what we do can stand scrutiny. What we
Well,
do,
I just
yeah.
I just have a final comment, is that, expectations run high and demands might outpace the expectations of the country or the government at this point in time. But I think in many ways, the government should be commended because they've been in office for 5 years and things take time to develop. And so in that way, the government and your role also should be commended for, improving the relationships, not only within the diaspora, but in the larger perspective, so that nothing gets neglected, but not everything can be addressed. And so in that respect, I expect more from the government within the next 5 years.
Thank you.
All right. We've come to the end of our program. Ambassador, we'd like you to do a 2-minute summary, your closing remark.
Yes, well, Doc, I will take this opportunity to wish all you good folks in our large diaspora here. I think we are among the top 5 groups in New York City here, diaspora groups. We're many. We have relevance. We're a large constituency, however divided it may be. But so I want to take this opportunity on behalf of His Excellency the President and his entire government, the Foreign Minister, and the entire government and people of Guyana, to wish all diasporans season's greetings. I know that we are held to a high standard by the diaspora, and rightfully so. You have a right to demand of us high standards. I mean, because if we were to follow in the footstep of the trajectory of our country, which we represent, then obviously we've got to showcase that in everything we do. So I want to wish, Doc, all the families, including you good gentlemen professors, and you, Doctor, you and your families, all the best for the season. And of course, going into the new year, we plan to double up on our outreaches, not necessarily in the same fashion, but in terms of, because of the new biometric system now, we've had to alter aspects of our outreach. But we intend to, I have a mandate as well, which I think that I must pay more attention to in the new year. That is to physically reaching out to other areas under my purview as Consul General here in New York. And I'm trying to, as you like to say, Doc, bring government to the people. And not only in terms of the services, but in terms of meeting them and getting information and providing feedback on government's policies and programs and expectations, and also opportunities, what is available at home, what you can do. As many questions were asked here tonight by the 2 professors. So that is what we intend to do in the new year. Dr. Singh, it's always a pleasure relating with you and to you. You, I know, have been a support for us at the Consulate. I've reached out to you on many occasions, given your place in this society and your knowledge. And I think you can, I think you can expect me to continue to reach out to you, and you 2 good professors as well, if you permit me, because
Sure.
we need all the help and all the interaction we can have, so that at the end of the day we provide the best services we can to our people and make our nation proud.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And before we close, I too, on behalf of the dialogue, Professor Budu and Professor Narayan, to wish our viewers and non-viewers as well happy Christmas and a prosperous and productive 2026. Now, this is the last program for this year because on 25th, that is next Thursday, is Christmas. Then the following Thursday is New Year's Day. We won't be having any program, but we'll be back on the air on the 8th of January. So until then, we wish everybody well, keep safe, have a safe and productive holiday season.
And Doc, I'll be happy to come back at an appropriate time. I enjoy your programs.
Right. And I must thank Professor Pudu and Professor Narayan for being on this program. You know, Professor Narayan raised a question about payment to groups. I emphasized at the beginning and at the last program, we are all volunteers. You, the guests, is not being paid. I, the moderator, is not being paid. Professor Pudu is not being paid. Professor Narayan is not being paid. Other guests who appeared, Dr. Ganga Ramdas is not being paid. Professor Mahin Hariraj, all them who appear in the program are doing it voluntarily. So we need to clear that up. And once again, I think we can go off the air now since the program